Blessings and welcome forward to Reasonings right here at Your Life. I'm your host, the Great Owl, in the presence of my co-host, Brother Ramon Singh. Perfect love. Perfect love, brothers and sisters. Just completing our series on works of the flesh. Just recounting some of the negative principles and behaviors and conduct that put us in some really bad situations and make us really hurt ourselves, hurt those in the environment around us, and really just leave a bad reputation after us, and in some cases really ending the life of others, right? Because sometimes it isn't just the marginal stuff, sometimes it's the extreme. But we literally end someone's life or someone ends our lives, you know. Just to use it, the subjective metaphor there. But in essence, what I'm saying is that the current offering is on murders. And I mean, I always use honesty as a benchmark for why I do this. You know, when I was younger, I never liked fighting, because I always had a temperament to want to kill people. It was like a natural disposition I had in me, very violent nature. I always was like going for the throat to strangle to death, because I believe that a problem should be eradicated once and for all. Because if you can come back tomorrow to try to affect me, then it's going to be a bigger problem. So I just believe it's taking care of the problem. But something is always trying to tell me from when I was a very young child, not to get into fights, because it seems like I don't like the fact that somebody might retaliate, you know that sense? So I think I have one of the core traits possibly to be a murderer if I didn't really develop good characteristics and, you know, functional behavioral patterns. I would have one of the predisposition, because I don't like when a person conflicting that they can come back again and try to start it up again. So I just prefer to remove them in the first place. So murders, and murders lead to murderers, right? So people who have a tendency to want to end life is a specific group of individuals, right? And it's recorded in psychology specifically to be driven by deep psychological dysfunction, right? They are archetypally aggressive, withdrawn. There's a lot of whole of a psychological definition, but in righteousness it just means that they don't have love in their hearts. Isn't that what it means? Like when they murder us, it means that you ain't got no love. So that's the way to transform, I guess, a murderous nature. So let's look at murderers, Brother Singh. The Bible really has listed as one of the obvious works of the flesh, to kind of really want to remove someone out of life for, let's say, whatever reason and, you know, issue you might have with a person. It seems like the fundamental premise is that life is where we are all at, and to take anyone out of it, it ain't life no more for that one. So it's like, I can't correct my mistakes if somebody take my life. They can't correct their mistakes if I take their life. You understand me? So the essence of what the fundamental practice of life is to grow and change and shed light upon our darkness. If you end it in a finality of taking your own life, calling suicide or killing someone through a murder or whatever, it carries a spiritual weight with it. You have done something that is obviously not right, not just in the sight of nature, but in the sight of God, because you're taking a soul out of their existence. Brother Singh.
Yes, brother, great old one, because how them define murder is the unlawful, premeditated killing of another human being. You know, premeditate. And not like a self-defense kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Something where you premeditate, you think about it, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, have people involved, you know. The most I say that are works of the flesh. The most I people not deal with them things there. You see me? A flesh deal with that. Because with flesh anything possibly, you know. But when you work with the most I, you do the right thing. You're not going to premeditate nobody killing. If anything, you're going to save them soul. You see me? Share the gospel with them.
Absolutely.
You see me? So, we have to stay far from these things. Because even my mother and my father, when they married, my father used to beat her, come home drunk, you know, one bag of argument and beat her, you know, and then she now premeditate. If she say she will take out this problem, because the problem keep coming back. She can't live with this, you know. So she premeditate to take out my father's life because of these happenings. Every night he might come home drunk and have beat her. Until the father tell her to just run away. So she just take the children and run away. Because of the spirit, you know. So Lord, those thoughts alone. Because the devil will give you some thoughts, you know. Like I said, John, the only way to save my life.
To take a life.
Is to premeditate this murder, this killing.
It's a serious thing because many times, you know, people really, like I said, it's a premeditation, meaning that they didn't really just accidentally get into this conflict and have to just like self-defense. They literally sat down and calculate how they're going to get rid of, you know, the stumbling block out of their lives. And as such, you know, in most criminal investigation, they look for a motive, meaning there must be a reason why a person would try to erase you out of life or get rid of you. So the tendency to end another life is that life is sacred, and the essence of its sacredness is that if you were to ascribe the principle, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, if you were to take another person's life and they were to take your life, you both wouldn't have the existence, you wouldn't have the experience, and the experience has within its tenets the ability to correct behaviors, you have to undo what's been done. So you cannot undo a murder, right? You cannot undo a suicide. I'm putting the suicide in even though it might be codified differently. But sometimes there are murder-suicides in life because people feel vengeful and retaliatory. So we're not going to look at murders as a textbook definition. We're going to look at triggers because, you know, I do psychology. The compunctions and the natures within humanity causes conflicts in human relations. We have disagreements. We have misperceptions. We have shortcomings in our deportment and in our presentation in language skills and language arts and in communication skills. We have weirdness in appearance. Juxtapose that against our positions in status. Some of us are more wealthy than others, have more privilege, some have better access than others, and the perceptivity of that in terms of our psychological inadequacies, it causes a trigger in the mind. So some people are targeting people because they feel that these people are entitled or these people are at some vantage point that they're not. And so animosity grows when people speak to you in a manner that you feel like, oh, you're talking down to me. And so people premeditate people because of these things. And murder sometimes wasn't the first course of thought, but it came up later on because sometimes the activities of this interaction cause violence. Maybe sometimes you would have thought you could have had the better of someone that you thought is from a different part of town. You thought that person was a wuss, and you tried to smack that person up, and that person beat the crap out of you. And the only way for you to save your ego was to go and shoot that person, right? So sometimes you have these little attitudes that people will. It's reinforced by culture, but it's a compunction to really equate the inadequacies within our psyche. It's just a thing, you know. We compare ourselves a lot, right? And some people is like, I don't feel like when I'm here amongst these particular people, like I matter, I exist. As a matter of fact, I feel that maybe these people are affecting my existence in such a way that I can't feel like myself unless I do something about them. Culture has nothing to do with it, because if we live in an environment where resolving things is that final way, meaning it's known by the socialization in this community that if you do certain things, you'll disappear and no one will hear from you or see you again, then the culture of murders becomes ingrained, becomes normalized and habituated, right? So then in certain cultures we have what we call the murder rate, a measure of how much people dead relative to the rest of the population within certain times, and we have charts and statistics on it. But the compunction is a lot of turmoil in the human spirit. We're angry, we're vexed, we're confused. We're disillusioned a lot with our positions, with the labels we give ourselves, with the labels others give us. Yeah? And they talk down to us, right? Women being beaten up on by men. Yeah? For real. You got some guys that just, I don't know what's up with them, they just have to lay on women. It's like if they don't do it, they don't feel like, right? You have some guys, they might say it's accidental. They might say, well, I was drawn to this, you know. You have women, she's there planning. Like you said, your mom, same thing with my mom too. Yeah, they're planning, right? Some poison in the food, make the medicine go down, let the medicine go down, let the medicine go down. Sleep, little one, and sleep away. No one hears your scream no day. You had a plan for them, you know, and some disappear and there's no criminal investigations. There was a woman that was charged of killing 8 of her husband, and she's a serial killer, she's a serial murderer, right? I mean, what was the issue with all those men that she would have killed them? It must have been a compunction she has and a tendency, a predisposition to end things in death, in murders, right? So a lot of times we have people that we don't realize that how you're treating others, you might be triggering them to some evil thoughts. So I think you want to consider that. And I always appeal in this regard to women, because when men is behaving this way, I think it's more likely that someone is going to take offense to it and might try to have a rebuttal to it. But with women, sometimes people don't recognize it, that yeah, you're kind of carrying on a little bit too much, and you don't see that you're pushing people, you're conniving, you're manipulative, and you're putting people's lives at risk, right? And so by you doing that and not caring about your gossip mongering, people is setting up your life. So remember, it's like this, you know, life isn't always like, oh, the great things is going to happen. We have people that have murderous natures and they take out contracts to kill people. It's all an ungodly thing. It's all flesh satisfying. It's all ego. It's all comparisons. It's a lot of these things mixed in, and sometimes it's revenge. Yeah, we can't leave out the revenge out there. Yeah, we can't leave out the, we cannot leave out the revenge, because sometimes, to be very honest, somebody has done some harm to others, right? And because of that harm, others are planning for them. Maybe you were 50 when it happened, and it's 10 years later, when you're 25, you settled the score, caught him off guard one night, and you gave him 4 little copper. That's what we say in Jamaica. But I'm saying this, most times we can't challenge nature in ourselves if we don't have a faith, because the environment fuels our hatred. So without a faith in God, without a faith in the divine, we'll be unable to really break a lot of these cycles, because anger builds up, contention builds up. A lot of those things just comes because of being alive and in this reality. But with faith, you have a constant source where you can turn to, pray about it, you know, ask God to strengthen you in the areas where you're definitely vulnerable. Brother Singh.
Yes, brother, great all. And even not just with people, but with even the creatures what the Most High create. We have to be careful with the murderers with them, you know? You have some people that go around just kill things, you know, just for the sport of it.
You're right.
That's why the ancient people, them respect life and know, say, well, this life are going to help to nourish back life. Them not make a sport out of killing and murder. Them make sure, say, it have to make sense what them are do.
For real. For true.
Them are, because ancient Hebrews, them are please the Most High, you know, them works. Not for them, animal, livestock farming them deal with.
Yeah, the herdsmen.
You know? And even with the high priest, them, want to slew the animals for the sacrifice them for the Most High, of a purpose. Them will do everything for, and of a sport.
True that. To function for real.
So like all mosquito, we know, say, well, mosquito forget slow. Because pestilence.
Disease carrying, right?
You know? Roach and them thing there. Because we not say, we not like we are make no sport out of it. But we know that this pestilence have to get out of this house. Because it will multiply and then two is enough pestilence in the house.
True, unclean.
Yes, I. So certain pestilence have to get slow. But we not enjoy and not make sport of certain activities.
Absolutely, because we're not forgetting that the word thou shalt not kill. Then it's a commandment. But when we are, taking a life, as we say in the traditional sense, there has to be a right, R-I-T-E, of the transference of that life for the service of the greater community. Right? These things have to be observed. That's why we have traditions, praying over things, consecrating things. It's because we knew that somehow we had done at least some harm by taking that life. But to equate that harm to good is to consecrate it to the purpose it was offered up for. And so this is where we're putting our lives now as the living sacrifice to challenge morbidity. That's one of the things that lead to the murderous nature. Like you say, killing for sport, wherein there is lateral towards coming together. Actually, a lot of record over time of humans in many cultures, not one culture, several cultures, literally killing animals for sport, right? It's such a vicious experience because I've never really done it. So I don't know. I'm just looking at it as how it's presented to me and these different things that I get it from, right? And it's always just a macabre bloodbath, but it's almost accepted that you can slaughter animals. Something you have the vegan movement who counteracts that with, its own brand of resensitizing to taking a life. But that culture of like killing for sport is like, it's a different level of weird, a different level, hallelujah, of morbidity, a different level of evil, if I can say, like the word said, thou shalt not kill. So there must be some compunction deeply within them to enjoy the finality of a life being snuffed out. Yeah? I'm not particularly one who is saying that I'm all pure in activity, but I understand it's the psychological tendency. That's why I said with a faith or a higher moral calling, I have to say that, because we're talking about one of the most destructive natures we're talking about, right? So I might be sounding soft about it, but I'm not being petty. Most things you might not hear me speak so strongly about and stridently about the Most High's presence in your thinking. But where a murderous nature is concerned, you literally have to be transformed, because the murderous nature is a compunction, a genetic predisposition to do that as a way of settling disagreements. And if you have done it once, it's easier to do it. So let's read the St. Jerome. So what about people who are military people, right? Ramon defined murders as a unlawful killing, right? One that there's a parameter to it. It's not self-defense, it's not that. But provocation to me is sometimes military, and a lot of times I would say it is military. So does soldiers come under the curse of murder? Thou shalt not kill. What do you think? Of course they come under the curse, hallelujah, for murder. What do you think all the degenerative psychological trauma is after war? What do you think that is? That is a result of killing so much people. That's what it does to the psyche. Exactly what it does. So let's talk medical. Let's come out of the religious, let's talk medical. It messes up their mental faculties because you have removed making finalities of other human beings and then want to go and interact with other human beings. You want to lie beside them. You want to make love to them. You want to call them your children. These things affect your psyche and your temperament. And people do get out of control. And these deep compunctions create sociopaths, serial killers, people that have a deep compunction to harm others in a fatal sense. So Brother Singh, getting out of here, any things you want to add, before, any advice to those who might be thinking those dark thoughts right now?
Yes, brother, great all one. Because sometimes things happen in the earth where things cross your mind. We are premeditate certain things we should not premeditate. Go to the Father. Go upon your knees. Fight the battles upon your knees. Pray to the Father about it. You're not surprised how the Father will answer your prayers in mysterious ways. You see me? So make the Most High fight your battles. And nobody take up certain activities of the devil for you try say you save your life or it will make your life better. Just allow certain thoughts and activities and stick to righteousness.
That's it. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Yeah? So we have to remember the true fight is in spirit, in righteousness. So that means fight out the foundations of darkness in your soul as going to set and congeal as bad thinking and bad behaviors and then bad outcomes. So we cast out all murderous thoughts, all evil, envious, satanic, destructive, malevolent feelings that become set in our ways, setting us as attitudes, setting us as outcomes. Those who are rebuking in the spirit of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, Yeshua Mashiach, here in the spirit of Yod He Vav He, we cast it away into the lake of fire and we pray healing and protection over the souls that's been afflicted by those thoughts. For those people who are on the verge of doing something that they're definitely going to regret, Lord, we ask you to halt that angry thought or that emptiness of spirit and fill them with the inspiration of your living spirit, the inspiration of your Son, to rejuvenate and restore them in soundness of mind, body, and spirit. So, until next time, it has been Talako the Great, our reasonings right at the Share Life in the presence of Brother Ramon Singh, here, my indomitable co-host. Just reminding you to like and subscribe to the Share Life experience right here on Seala Media. Support the Patreon buy a t-shirt, a cap, just to keep the ministry business going, as well as support the Wisdom Mini Healing Therapy session. Like, subscribe to all of the channels, under the Seala Media and Share Life community. Yeah? And remember, escape the darkness of your heart with love, and that love must be expanding and expanded as the gift of your life, the gift of your light, the gift of your existence. And you are that gift. Continue to be that awesome gift.
Perfect love. Perfect love.